Nice. So I'd like to invite H.K. Madan Sundar Prabhu to give us an overview. A warm welcome from all of us, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. I'm audible, Shikhar Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Thank you all for joining in, and extremely once again for the delay. We got delayed by a few minutes. We'll start with the program. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashatadi Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you once again for joining us for this Bhagavat live series that is going on for a while. And we are discussing from the Canto 1, chapter number 8 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So to look into this chapter, because of little already late, I'll not go too much into details. In the previous chapter, the question was asked before that about how did the birth of Parikshit Maharaj happen? What was his activities, etc. In chapter 7, that particular question was taken up by Sutta Goswami to answer and to explain what were the situations at the time of birth of Parikshit Maharaj. Sutta Goswami began his narration from the 18th evening or the 18th day of the war. And now we have seen the episode how Ashwatthama accidentally, incidentally, whatever you want to call it, considering those 5 sleeping sons or 5 sleeping men to be Pandavas, killed the sons of Draupadi, and that how Draupadi avenges for the death. I would not call revenge for the death in one way, because that didn't look like a revenge, because she forgave Ashwatthama. So that whole discussion, we saw that. So let's continue with the discussion. What happened? One of the concluding verses of the previous chapter was, now after this, the final rites will be performed. And that's how the discussion will begin in this 8th chapter. This is a little long chapter. If I have to give you a quick overview of what all you're going to see in this chapter, it will be something like this. There are 4 key things being discussed here. First is, there are going to be a lot of Mahabharata discussion series. Can somebody sign up on the mobile so I can see what's going on? So first is part of the Stri Parva, which is the 11th book of Mahabharata. I'll give you a brief, some background stories of how this flow of discussion is going on. So 4 things are being highlighted here. One is the final rites being performed and the situation of the ladies. And of course, all the surviving residents. What was their situation? That would be discussed. Second aspect discussed here is how Lord Shri Krishna, he encourages Yudhishthira Maharaj to perform Ashwadamedh Yajna, and after the successful completion of Yajna, Lord Shri Krishna decides to depart. And that point of time, when Krishna decides to depart, that time Uttara comes running to Lord Shri Krishna. And Uttara says, my dear Lord, please protect me, because Ashwatthama have once again shot Brahmastra with an intention to kill Pandavas, as well as the last surviving, the heir, you want to call it, the progeny in the whole Kuru Vansha, and that was to be born Parikshit Maharaj. So Lord Shri Krishna saves Uttara's child. That is the second part of the discussion. At that point of time, Mother Kunti begins to offer prayer, being reminded of how Lord again and again have helped Pandavas, and now again have helped Uttara. So then there is a third section of Kunti Maharani's prayer, which is a very, very beautiful section. We'll try to focus, I don't know how much time we'll have, but we'll try to go through those verses. And a beautiful flow of discussion, a conversation between Mother Kunti and Lord Shri Krishna. And finally, the 4th aspect of this chapter is, after that comes when Mother Kunti have offered prayers, Lord Shri Krishna smiles, and then he begins to, leave for Dwarka. And that's the point when Yudhishthira Maharaj comes and he makes a fervent prayer. My dear Lord, can you please stay for some more time? Why to stay for some more time? I will tell you when we come to that section. Yudhishthira Maharaj still wants Krishna to stay for something very important. And that is how the whole 8th chapter is discussed, or the contents of the 8th chapter. All right. So let's begin with the first aspect, where from the first verse up to the 4th verse, the discussion comes about how the war has ended, and now all the ladies of Hastinapur. I'll go into a little bit of details here of what is happening, and I'll come out of the screen from here. So the war has kind of more or less ended. All the ladies who were there at Hastinapur, they all come to Kurukshetra. I remember when I was a child, my mother used to tell me, I don't know how many of you have heard this. By the way, how many of you have been to the land of Kurukshetra? Anyone? None of you have been to the land of Kurukshetra. I don't know how many of our online audience have been to the land of Kurukshetra, but the soil of that land is red. So my mother, when I was a child, used to tell me it wasn't like this before. So how did the soil of that land become red? She used to tell me it happened post Mahabharat war. Now, Stri Parva, the 11th book of Mahabharat, is the most depressing book. Is all about cries, is all about grief. So imagine if the soil, the color of the soil has turned red, even 5,000 years later, it's still like this. So for a second, imagine, hypothetically, imagine you are walking into Kurukshetra, where the war had happened. According to Srimad Bhagavatam purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, 60 crore people had died, which is almost, around 4 to 5 million Jews were killed. Another 4-5 million had died in the Second World War. It still doesn't make 1 crore. You're talking about 60 crore, 60 crore, which means 600 million, correct? 600 million people had died in the war of Kurukshetra. So imagine you're walking into the scene there. What would you see? So what did Gandhari and all the other ladies of Hastinapur saw? What did Yudhishthira Maharaj saw? The war has kind of settled in, and they saw the rivers flowing of blood. They saw the lakes have been formed of blood. And what is flowing in those lakes and the rivers? The chopped off bodies of the warriors. Someone's head, which has been chopped off, has been flowing. Somebody's arm, somebody's body is flowing and lying all over the land of Kurukshetra. So like that, when they saw, imagine the wife, the daughter, the sister, seeing the condition of the man like this, who is related to her, what would be the trauma? And not once or twice, 60 crore people are lying like this on this situation. So here, when Gandhari reaches to this place, she becomes extremely grief-stricken because she lost all her 100 sons. And she didn't lose, the way the Bhima killed all her sons was really brutal, actually. Because he had taken a vow that I'm going to tear open the chest of all of you and I'm going to drink the blood. Of course, Bhima did not do that, but definitely he tore open and he took out, the flesh from the chest, and he actually took out the blood like that. So when Gandhari saw the situation of all her sons, the chest being tore apart, she became extremely angry and she turned to Bhima. She wanted to curse Bhima. That time Vyasadeva came and pacified. Gandhari got pacified by the words of Vyasadeva. She walked further. She was looking, where is my eldest son? Where is Duryodhana? And when she came by the side of Duryodhana's body, it is not very clear if Duryodhana's body had been burnt by that time or not. But when she came by the side of Duryodhana's body, she became extremely angry because Gandhari had planned for Duryodhana to become solid like iron. And she had called Duryodhana to come and meet her. But because of Krishna's plan, Gandhari asked Duryodhana, come naked. But because of Krishna's plan, I'm not getting the details of all these things. You might have heard of these details. Because of Krishna's intervention, Duryodhana had covered his lower part of the body. So that part of the body which was covered could not become solid like iron, but upper part of the body became solid like iron. So when the club fight between Bhima and Duryodhana was happening, Bhima was all his might, which had 10,000 strength of the 10,000 elephants in his hands. He was hitting the head of Duryodhana, and Duryodhana was smiling. Now somebody today have to slap on our forehead, will probably yell. And imagine, the iron club is been smashed with all the might of not a mosquito, of Bhima on the head, nothing happened. So when Gandhari saw Duryodhana dead, she became extremely angry on two people. First, Yudhishthira and Lord Shri Krishna. She turned behind, and Yudhishthira was like a loyal servant and obedient son, a younger person was walking behind Gandhari. He was worried, somehow Vyasadeva has said, Bhima, it should not happen that Gandhari becomes disturbed. She doesn't have to see me and she can curse any one of us. So she turned behind and she saw Yudhishthira and she was about to curse. Somehow she managed her anger. And as you might have heard of the story, Gandhari just slightly lifted what do you call as blindfold, and she looked at the feet of Yudhishthira, which burnt his nails. The discussion comes like that. And then she became extremely angry at Krishna. This is all Mahabharata version. Bhagavatam doesn't talk about it. Nonetheless, it is mentioned in Mahabharata, then Gandhari also cursed Krishna, etc., etc. There's a conversation between Krishna and Gandhari. Let's focus on Yudhishthira's character here. So when Yudhishthira saw thousands, lakhs, and millions of women and the kids crying for their fathers, brothers, and relatives, Yudhishthira's heart, like it was I would not say heart melted, it was a heartbreaking event or incident. And Yudhishthira became so petrified, he began to curse himself. And that's the point he decided, I would not become the king, because for my own selfish reason, this is what had happened. After all, Duryodhana was not such a bad king. He was able to take care of the citizens because I wanted to rule. Therefore, for my own selfish interest, I have led to such a hue and cry, such a massacre. And Yudhishthira, being a good man, being a great devotee of the Lord, rather than seeing the fault in Duryodhana, the nature of a devotee, he never sees fault in others. He always sees what's in for me, what's my fault, what's my mistake. Yudhishthira began to curse himself, and he decided that he's not going to become the king. And this is what happens, with this brief discussion that Sutta Goswami talks about the grief-stricken situation at the Kurukshetra. And then Sutta Goswami fast forwarded and he says that Lord Shri Krishna tries to pacify Yudhishthira and all the relatives there. And then Krishna advises Yudhishthira to perform Ashwamedha Yajna. That is probably the sixth verse of this chapter. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj performs Ashwamedha Yajna. And Krishna thinks now finally Ashwamedha Yajna. So whatever guilt feeling Yudhishthira had, whatever he thought that he had performed a sin, has been taken care of by performing of Ashwamedha Yajna. Not one, 3 Ashwamedha Yajnas, as I mentioned, have been performed. So Lord Shri Krishna has been here with Pandavas at Hastinapur for a long period of time. He decided now to depart for Dwarka. And that is the discussion that happens in the 7th and the 8th verse. So when Lord Shri Krishna decides to depart for Dwarka, he goes to the stable. He's just about to get onto his chariot. So that's what the discussion comes. I've already talked about this aspect. So now the second part of this chapter is Bhakta Vatsala Krishna and transcendental morality. So here Lord Shri Krishna decides to leave, and he's about to get, or in fact he gets onto the chariot, and something interesting happens, which is mentioned in the 8th verse of this chapter. And what happens? The 8th verse says, Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate. So as a good practice, when we're going to recite shlokas, if possible, all of you can recite together. So this shlokas are very important. Again, I'll recite. Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate. Hey, why screen is not visible? This is the 9th, but why is it not visible to all of you? Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate nanyam tvad abhayam pashe yatra mrityu parasparam. So this shloka says, Uttara came and said, Pahi, Pahi, protect me, Mahayogi. You are the best of the yogis. Deva, Deva, Jagatpate. You are the supreme controller of everything. Na anyatvad abhayam pashe. Without you, there is no one is our protection or protector. Yatra mrityu parasparam. You can even protect us from the death. Nanyam tvad abhayam pashe. Only you can give us protection from fear. Like this, Uttara comes. That is a discussion which is given here. And then it is mentioned from 10th verse onward. When Krishna heard Uttara's plea, Krishna understood that this is Ashwathama, who has once again, second time, have shot Brahmastra. And this Brahmastra is meant for killing not only Uttara's son, it is also intended to kill all the 5 Pandavas. So in the 10th verse, Uttara says, My dear Lord, Abhi Dravati Mamesha, Sharas Tapta Yaso Vibhu. My dear Lord, there is one arrow which has been shot towards me, and actually that arrow is meant to kill my womb, my child. However, I do not mind if that arrow kills me and burns me, but kindly protect my progeny, kindly protect my child. That was a prayer of Uttara. So when Lord Shri Krishna heard from 11th verses onward is described, Krishna heard this thing, then he understood what is going on. Pandavas became alerted, they lifted the weapon, but nobody can counteract Brahmastra unless Arjuna would decide to shoot Brahmastra again. And that time, Lord Shri Krishna, it is described that how he entered, as you can see in your slide deck. You see in the first picture here, in the womb, you see the weapon, the scorching heat. You can see Parikshit Maharaj. There are different versions which describes how so here, Brahmastra, you see how Parikshit body was burnt. So according to one version, Parikshit Maharaj was almost killed, and Krishna revived him back. According to another version, Krishna took up his Sudarshan Chakra, and that Sudarshan Chakra began to circumambulate the womb. And whatever heat was generated because of Brahmastra counteracted and also counteracted the Brahmastra weapon. So you see in the second picture, well, how beautiful it is. The small child folding his hands is looking at, four-handed Narayan. Because the child in the womb saw, and then he came out and he began to search for the same four-handed personality. Therefore, his name was given as Parikshit, one who is searching for the absolute truth. Like that is described. So Krishna covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy, and Brahmastra was neutralized by Krishna's strength, like that. And then in 17th verse comes Kunti Vacha, where then Mother Kunti once again seeing that how Lord has protected her family. Now from 18th verse onwards, Mother Kunti begins to offer prayers. A very, very beautiful section. From 18 to 43 verses. This is where we would like to spend some time. So we just kind of rushed into whatever discussion we did so far. So let's begin with it. Qualifications to see Krishna. So the very first verse. So I'll request all of you can recite along. Why don't you have a Zoom sign in here and they can see? Kunti Vacha Namaste Purusham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakriti Param Alakshyam Sarva Bhutanam Antarabhairavastitam. So here Mother Kunti says to Lord Shri Krishna, my dear Lord, you are not my nephew. In fact, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Namaste Purusham Tvadyam. So let's see. Srila Vishnu Thakur describes this beautifully. Let's take a look at it. Understanding everything that Krishna had done recently, Kunti was unable to tolerate the agitation caused by the great respect that arose in her heart. Thus she began praising Krishna. Krishna said, but Mother Kunti, I'm your nephew. Why are you offering respects? Mother Kunti said, but Purusham, you are the Supreme Lord. Mother Kunti said, but Krishna said, of course I am Purush. There's no doubt about that. So Mother Kunti said, no, you're not only Purush, you're Purusham Twa Adyam. Twa means you, Adyam means the original Purush, the first one. Krishna said, well, all the bodies come and go. All souls are original, Adya. Then Kunti said, but you are the supreme Adya. That is the second line. Ishvara Prakriti Param. Like this, Mother Kunti talks about, and then in the second line, she says, Ishwaram. And not only Ishwaram, Prakriti Param. Krishna could say, okay, but there are so many Ishwar. So Mother Kunti says, Prakriti Param, but you're not like all other devatas. You are beyond the modes of material nature. And then Mother Kunti says, Alakshyam Sarva Bhutanam. So Krishna says, oh, really? If I am the Supreme Personality Godhead, then why I'm not visible to all? The Mother Kunti says, Krishna, you are the Supreme Personality Godhead, although you are present everywhere, Sarva Bhutanam, Antar Bahir Avashtitam, you are within and you are without, Alakshya, but you are not visible. Like that, Mother Kunti says. So Krishna asks, oh, really? If I'm present everywhere and you say I'm not yet visible, what is the reason for it? And then Mother Kunti speaks the 19th verse. What does Mother Kunti say? She says, Maya Javanika Chandam Agnyadhoksajam Avyayam Na Lakshya Se Mudhrasha Nato Natyo Dharo Yatha. This verse is exactly like the Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter, verse number 13 and verse number 14, where Mother Kunti says, or like Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, hey Arjuna, nobody can see me. Why? Because their vision is covered by the curtain of Maya. So Mother Kunti says, Krishna, we are not able to see you, or the person cannot see you because his or her vision is covered by your external energy. Just like in a rainy season, although the sun is shining, but gets covered by the rain clouds. Like that, Mother Kunti explains here. Since internally you protected the child in the womb of Uttara, and externally you protect us by being near us, should I understand that you are all pervading? I do not know. That is expressed in this verse. So Kunti says, you are covered by the curtain of Maya. Then Krishna says, oh really? This is from Vishnu Thakur's commentary for all of you. Then Krishna says, oh really? It means that Maya covers me? Because our vision is covered by Maya. So Krishna says, oh, it means I am covered by Maya? Kunti says, no. It is like a fool who thinks that the sun is covered by a cloud. It is not the sun covered by a cloud. It is our vision. I see you as covered because my vision is covered by Maya. Because you are beyond sense knowledge. Adhoksajam. Sense knowledge, akshajam jnana, is situated below you. That is how Mother Kunti expresses. But even if foolish people like me do not know you, there is no loss. There is no loss for you because you remain unaffected. But Krishna said, Mother, you see me directly and you praise me. You know that I'm beyond Prakriti, then why do you criticize yourself as being ignorant? And then Mother Kunti says, this is the last two lines, the analogy is given. Though the dancer is endowed with rhythms and dance steps suitable to the rasa, the ignorant spectator, ignorant of the scriptures, delineating performance, sees only a dancer dancing, which means though he see, he does not really see you. Similarly, I see you, but I really do not see you. The concept is similar, like Duryodhana saw Krishna, but he actually did not see Krishna as a Supreme Personality Godhead. So then question comes, who can see Krishna? So this is 19th verse, and now the 20th verse. Who can see Krishna? So here Mother Kunti says, Tatha param hamsanam muninam amalatmanam bhakti yoga vidhanartham katham pashyemahi striya. He says, my dear Lord, how can a simple woman like me know you? So how can a woman hope to see you, the object of bhakti, for the omniscient and liberated sages? This verse is almost similar to 10th chapter, verse number 2 of Bhagavad Gita. Aham adir hi devanam, prabhavam hi maharshihi. where Krishna says, even the best of the sages and the best of the devtas cannot see me or understand. So here, Mother Kunti is saying, my dear Lord, how can I see you? I'm just a simple woman. So an interesting conversation happens. I'm a hopeless as a woman. Can even the sages, Parhamsas, who worship you with bhakti, being ignorant of the truth about your pastime, know the intricacies of your pastime? Amalatmana refers to those who are free from the contamination of gunas. How can we see you? You are the object of bhakti yoga practice. That the Paramahamsas worship the Lord has been explained in the verse Atma Ramas Chamanyo. In other words, who can understand Krishna? Mother Kunti through this verse expresses Bhakti Yoga Vidhanartham. Only through the process of bhakti, Krishna can be understood, but not otherwise. And then Mother Kunti glorifies Krishna and Krishna's devotees. The famous verse. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. It's interesting how she's offering her prayers and she's offering her respects to her devotees in a certain manner. Let's take a look at it. Krishnaya Vasudevaya, the first thing among all the avatars, you are the best. And then she talks about in the increasing level of Pema. So he says, Krishnaya Vasudevaya. So it is explained, I don't know if I have mentioned the point here. So first she says, Krishnaya Vasudevaya, you're very dear to Vasudev. Devaki Nandanaya Cha, you're also very dear to Devaki. Devaki Nandanaya Cha. And then she says, Nanda Gopa Kumaraya, and you are the dearmost of the Nanda Gopa, who are the cowherd men. So Srila Prabhupada in the Prabhupada writes something very interesting. And Prabhupada says, see, if you compare Lord Ram and Lord Krishna, Krishna is more kind and compassionate. Why Krishna is more kind and compassionate? Because Krishna was easily approachable. How Krishna was easily approachable? Nanda Gopa Kumara, because he was the son of the cowherd man. Whereas Ram was the son of Dashrath Maharaj, he was a prince, and you cannot approach a prince directly and so easily. And being a simple cowherd boy, Krishna was easily approachable. Therefore, through this verse, Mother Kunti is actually expressing how kind and compassionate Lord Shri Krishna is. And then Govindaya Namo Namaha. Govinda means one who enlivens the senses. The mind and senses, one who satisfies or who pleases the cows like that. That is being described here. And then there is a discussion on Krishna's form. 22nd verse onwards, that's the discussion comes. Namaha Pankaja Nabhaya, Namaha Pankaja Maline, Namaha Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangriye. Pankaj Nabhi, Pankaj matlab means lotus. So Namaha Pankaj Nabhaya, so it is mentioned that his Nabi is like the walls of lotus. So Krishna is also called as Pankaj Nabi because that is Garbha Daksha Vishnu, from whose Garbha comes Brahma. Brahma is born on the lotus, and Pankaj, the lotus, comes from the navel of Lord Shri Krishna or Garbha Daksha Vishnu. So here it is described that I offer Namaste, Namaste, I offer my obeisances to a person who has a lotus navel, who is wearing a lotus garland, who has a Kamala Nayana, a Namaste Pankaj Jangriye, and who has, Charana Kamala. I believe that's what you call it in Hindi, right? The lotus feet, like that, is being described here about Krishna's form. Very, very interesting and important purport. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to reflect on the purport because I was looking at the screen. This whole 18th verse to 43 verse purports, I would say all purports are golden purport. So if you just talk about this purport, Prabhupada makes a very beautiful point. Two things Prabhupada makes in the purport. First thing is, although the Lord appears in a human form, where some people criticizes that, he's also human like us. The very first point in the first paragraph Prabhupada is, yes, that is correct. Yet, when Lord descends in a human form, his bodily features are quite unique. His body has certain distinctive marks which makes him different than an ordinary human being. and which are described in the Vedic scriptures, that tells us that such a person is Supreme Personality Godhead. First thing. Second thing, knowing the fact that people cannot see me, the people cannot see the transcendental form of the Lord, and to show his compassion, Lord descends in a form which we can see. And what is that form in which Lord descends, which we can see? What is that form in which Krishna descends, which we can see? The deity form. So in the second part of the purport, Prabhupada talks about the importance of deity worship, and he explains how deities are not idols. Deities are deities like this. And then text number 23 and 24. Very interesting. Where Mother Kunti says, my dear Lord, but I am more fortunate than Devaki. You're Devaki Nandanaya cha. You give pleasure to Devaki, or you're very dear to Devaki. But if you compare Devaki and I, then I am more dear to you than Devaki. Then Krishna says, oh, really? What's the claim? What's the evidence? Then Mother Kunti says, my dear Lord, Shri, you protected my sons, right? But you did not protect any of the sons of Devaki. Hayana. Devaki's 6 sons were killed. But when it comes to my sons, you protected. So it means you love me more than Devaki, isn't it? Krishna said, oh, interesting. So that's the next verse. Let's take a look at it. Krishna's qualities. Yatha Rishikesh Kalena Devaki Kamshena Rudhati Chiram Sucharpita Vimochitaham Chasahatmaja Vibhu Ta Evanathena Muhar Vipatkanat. So you have saved us from dangers again and again. Therefore, Mother Kunti says, I seems to be more dear to you than even Devaki because you did not protect. This is the comment that Prabhupada has in the purport. And then Mother Kunti in 24th verse began to remember all those incidents to give evidence to Krishna that how we are more dear to you, that how time and again you protected us. And she says, Vishamahagne Purushada Darshanat Asat Sabhaya Vanavas Krichrata Mrade Mrade Anek Maharathastrato Dron Astratas Chasmahare Abhi Rakshita. You protected us. Vishan, you remember the day when Duryodhana's party gave wish or the poison to my son Bhima? You protected from Mahagni, the house of lack. Purushad, Darshanad. And then we had to run to the forest, and Darshana, there we got the darshan of Purushad, of the Daityas. Who Pandavas had got darshan when they ran to the forest? Hidamba and Hidambi. Of course, Hidambi got married to Bhima. That is not being addressed here. She's not criticizing her daughter-in-law. She's talking about Hidamba. Asas Savaya, then you remember that assembly where Draupadi was insulted. Vanavas Krichrata, and then everything was taken from us and we were sent to the forest. Mrade Mrade Anek Maharathastrato, and there after the whole 13 years of Vanvas, when we came back, then we had to fight. And the battlefield of Kurukshetra, you protected my sons again when they were fighting with Maharathi. Then Drauni Astratas. Not only that, you also saved us. Drauni means Drona, son. Ashwathama. Astratas, when he shot not once but twice. Brahmastra. Cha Asmahare Abhirakshita. Like this, my dear Lord, you had been always protecting us. Okay. How many of you think Mother Kunti have got enough of calamities in her life? Yes or no? And this is not, she has highlighted all. Krishna willing, hopefully we would not have any such things where people are constantly trying to kill somebody. Constantly. This is from childhood to, they have grown up to be Yudhishthira Maharaj at this point in time is somewhere around 100 plus. So all this 100 years, 110 effectively, all this 110 years, they were always, their life was in threat. Correct? So if somebody has gone through such a situation, and then you're expressing yourself to the Lord, what do you say, my dear Lord? Thank you. And if you're in good consciousness and well studied in scripture, you say, my dear Lord, thank you. I know I have done many sinful activities. I was supposed to suffer more, but you have removed all my suffering. You have given me just little iota of my suffering. So you imagine, even if you call this a little iota, then what next would you say, my dear Lord? That's it, but enough is enough. All right. At least this remaining years in my life, let me live peacefully. Please so that I can chant your name peacefully. Makes sense? Correct? Would you agree with this? How many of you think would you agree with this? हो गया ना भाई? कितना सताना है? So, but naturally you think like this, right? So let's say what Mother Kunti says. Vipadashantu taha shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yasyat apuna bhavadarshanam. Mother Kunti says, my dear Lord, enough of calamities. I warn you no more. Okay? Otherwise, give up your shelter, go to somebody else. Oh, by the way, that's not the meaning of this Sanskrit. Mother Kunti says, Vipadashantu taha shashvat, my dear Lord, let the calamity come. मुझे बोलते हुए भी डर लगता है. Let the calamity come, dash, dash. कहीं by chance हो गया तो, you know. So you understood the point, right? So she's saying with full confidence, Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru, because in such situations, why I'm asking for more calamities? Because in such situations, Bhavato Darshanam Yasad, because I get to see you, I get to take darshan of you. And what happens when you get to take darshan or not? Apunar Bhava Darshanam. Because of which we do not get to see the darshan of this material world again. So now you may say, all right, Mother Kunti, good prayer. Doesn't hold true for me. Because whatever happens, I'm not going to see Krishna, right? Krishna doesn't come to us. But yes, Krishna is present. As it is said, Krishna's name, Guna, Rupa, Nama, Lila, Ityadi is not different than Krishna. So Krishna is present to us in the form of the holiness of the Lord. So how many of you agree, theoretically, when we are in crisis, we chant attentively, intensely? How many of you agree? Hari Bol. So, but a disclaimer, it does not mean you're supposed to recite this prayer, okay? So like every morning we recite Shashtakam. Don't make this as a practice that, you know, Shashtakam we recite to create a consciousness before we get into chanting, attentive chanting. Don't make this as a practice to chant this verse, huh? If accidentally, incidentally, Krishna heard your prayer, you would be in crisis. Let me give you a case study. Of course, we don't have much time to discuss so much, but briefly I'll tell you. In Russia, in Moscow, when things had become a little stable, there the leaders decided, because they had suffered a lot. So the leaders decided, you know, let us chant this mantra, this prayer, because this very clearly reflects our painful situation that we have gone under the regime of communist government. And the things were becoming stable, the temple construction was going on, and wholeheartedly the whole community will come and recite, Vipadashantu taha shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru. This was a ritual. They made it as a practice. And then gradually, Krishna heard their prayer. And whole project was in shambles. Again, the communist government came, some other religious organization complained and all that. And the devotees had to actually leave that place. The whole thing was broken down. And then the leader said, okay, this prayer behooves Mother Kunti only to offer. For us to offer a practical service, we should not recite this prayer as a community together, because we need some shelter. So I'm just giving you one practical example, all right? Okay, and then comes calamity, and then Mother Kunti says, to give a reflection on why she's saying like this, she says the security of material world is more dangerous. In other words, who can attract you? Janmeshwarya Shata Shibhir Edamana Madhapuma Naivarati Abhidhatum Vai Twama Kinchana Gocharam. Hey Prabhu, one who has intelligence, one who has high birth, Janma, Aishwarya, one who has opulence, Shruta means knowledge, Shibhi means beauty. Edaman Madhapuman, he is like an intoxicated drunkard after Friday evening party, who cannot walk on his feet, and he needs some shoulders to carry him back to the home. So people who have born with these opulences are by default intoxicated. And Prabhupada is a very beautiful purport. Again, mark it as a golden purport. And Prabhupada focuses his purport on chanting, about chanting. But Prabhupada says, you can only call the names of the Lord with emotion. And when emotions involve, attention follows. Only when you are Tvam Akinchana Gochara. Akinchana Gochara means who have no material possession. So now a question may happen where all of you may wonder, it means sannyas is mandatory? Then only I will become Akinchana Gocharam, right? So unless I take a sannyas, until then I cannot chant attentively. That's what it means. So Hari Bol, continue in attentive chanting, no problem now. No, that's not the meaning. Tvam akinchana gochanam here means the principle of Yukta Vairagya, which Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Srila Rupa Goswami explains. We have to change our perspective. Rather than having a bhoga tendency, we have to develop seva tendency. Rather than to say, this is my possession, we have to change our language. This is to be used in the service of the Lord. Or like we have a culture, we say, in care of. So rather saying, it is mine, we should say, it is in my care. When you say it is in my care, which means it does not belong to you, yes or no? Just like the company gives you a car. Is that your car? It is under your care, isn't it? So similarly, we have to change over this wording, and that's how psychology gets affected. To say this is my house, this is my car, this is my bank balance, it is in my care. So to whom does bank balance belongs to? A temple, local temple. Okay. So you start making so regular donations, okay, in the service of the Lord. So when you say Lord, again it becomes Lord means Lord. So so I'll do everything for my Lord in the house. No, it belongs to temple. Okay, all right. Let's move forward. So you got the point? Please do read the purport. Very beautiful purport. So who can attract you? Namo kinchana viddhaya nivrata gunavartte atmaramaya shantaya kaivalye pataye namaha. I offer my respects to he whose treasure is unalloyed devotees, who is devoid of nivrata gunavartte material desires, one who is disinterested in those who are not devotees. In other words, Kaivalya Pate Namaha Atmaramaya Santa. So the qualities of devotees are being described here. And Mother Kunti says, you always take care of your pure devotees like that. I leave this slide for you to refer later on. As time is less, I'll move forward. And then Mother Kunti says, oh, it is that I am partial. Krishna may say, you say that, I'm attached to my devotee. Does it mean I'm partial? Mother Kunti says no. Manyatvam kalam ishanam. Manyatvam kalam ishanam. Anadi nidhanam vibhum. Samamam charantam sarvatra bhutanayan mite kali. Mother Kunti says, Manyatvam kalam ishanam. You are Kala personified. You are eternal time. Therefore, Samamam Charantam Sarvatra. Samam means equal. Charantam Sarvatra. Charanta means moving, which means the living entity is Sarvatra, all over the universe. You are equal to all. Bhutanam Yan Mitaha Kalihi. Kali, which means the duality which talk about it. So, Lord, you are not partial. You are equal to one and all. So, this verse describes the Lord's destruction, kalam, of those who offend his devotees. So when Mother Kunti says you're Kala personified, what does Kala represents? Destruction, isn't it? Kal means which destroys everything. So that's the point here. But you're not unjust. You destroy the enemies of your devotees, but you're not unjust. You show attachment to the devotees, indifference to the matter, assistance to some, and destruction to others. This is just but natural. Yad mitha kalhi means in whom there is conflict, because the Lord gives suffering and bliss. Is equal and prejudiced, is unmerciful and merciful. In other words, Lord Shri Krishna is impartial, but he seems to be partial. And if you want to know what's the answer for it, you have to read the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yudhishthira asked the same question to Narad Muni. My dear Lord, it seems Lord is partial. He gives more favor to his devotees than the non-devotees. And then Mother Kunti says, my dear Lord, it is not possible for anyone to understand you fully. No one can understand your intentions. Text number 29. Naveda kasche bhagavam chikeshitam tave hamanasya nana vidambanam nayasya kasche dayatosti karhiche dveshascha yasmin vishama matirnana. My dear Lord, you descend in a human form. You descend not to show hatred or favor to anyone. No one can know the intention. Naveda kashid bhagavan chikasitam. So like this, she explains that, my dear Lord, people imagine you to be partial, but you are equal to all. they cannot understand your intentions, considering you to be an ordinary human being like that. And then text number 30. And there, Mother Kunti says about now Krishna's birth and appearances. She gives different reasons why Krishna appears. There are 4 reasons mentioned. We'll quickly take a look at it. Janma karma cha vishwatman ajasya kartaratmanah tiryan narshishu yadasu tad atyanta vidambanam. So the very first reason she says for appearances, you descend. No, birth and appearance reasons will come ahead. She's just talking about you descend in this world. And Mother Kunti says, of course, your actions are bewildering. You know, you're the soul of the whole universe. Why your actions are bewildering? Because you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appear amongst the animals, amongst the man, the sages and aquatics, Tiryan Narshishu Yadasu, because you appear in different forms, your pastimes and activities becomes bewildering. And then she gives an examples of how Lord's activities are bewildering. Text number, these are some details, text number 31, where she actually quotes one very, very famous time and the most bewildering time, the pastime from Krishna's Leela. If I ask you, according to you, what could be one of the most bewildering pastime? What would we answer? Damodar Leela. Brahma Vimon Leela is for Brahma. And we got the lessons, but the most bewildering pastime is Damodar Leela. And that's what Mother Kunti talks about. And she says, Gopya dade tvai kritaksi damatavat. Ek sadharan gopi, ek gopi, you are bound. Dama means rope. You are bound around your belly by a simple gopi. And she has already described Lord to be a Kala personified. Yate dashashru kaliranjana sambhramaksham. And your eyes, the tears are flowing. You were fearful, you were trembling. Vaktram ninya bhaya bhavana istatasya. Vaktram, your face, you had put your face downwards out of fear by thoughts. Bhaya bhavanaya sama vimohati. This pastime really bewilders me. Virapi yat vibhreti, because fear personified is fearful of you. Fear personified is fearful of you, and you are fearful of simple gopi. Is it contradictory or not? That's what Mother Kunti says, my dear Lord, very, very difficult to understand you. And then she begins to give 4 reasons of Lord Shri Krishna's appearance. Why does Krishna appear? She says, we'll read the translation as the time is less. So she says, some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of the pious kings, while others say that he is born to please King Yadu. Second, then she says, while others say, since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken birth as their son for the welfare of one and all. So first is to glorify the Yaduvamsha. Second is to fulfill the prayers of Vasudeva and Devaki, who were in the previous life, Sutapa and Prashni. Third reason she gives, while others say you appeared because Brahma prayed to you, because the crime had increased on this planet and Brahma approached you and prayed you. So that is. And then comes the fourth, the actual reason. Not that Krishna had to appear because Brahma prayed, not that Krishna had to appear in the self-same form because Sutapa and Prashni prayed, etc., etc., or to glorify the Yaduvamsha. Why did Krishna appear? This is a shloka, very beautiful shloka. Bhavayasmin klishyamana nama vidya kama karmavi Shavana Smaranarani Karishyan Itikechana. So why have you appeared? You have appeared Bhavayasmin Klishyamanana. You have appeared here to destroy all the sufferings. And that suffering is because of what? Avidya Kama Karma, because of ignorance. That the karma, the kama bij, karma bij, and that kama leads to karma bij, the fruitive activities. Because of ignorance of you, the ignorance of the self, the person develops material desires and he is bound by the fruitive activities. So your actual reason for appearance is to set every living entity free from these fruitive activities and desires. So how it happens? Shravana Smarana Arhani. So you have come or you have descended here to allow us, by performing your pastimes, to hear about your glories. By performing your pastimes, you've given us an opportunity to remember your pastimes, our Hani, and also given us an opportunity to worship you. And when it happens, Karishan iti kechanaha. When this is performed like this, then all the sufferings goes away. Like that, Mother Kunti explains here. So then Mother Kunti says, what is the potency of this devotional service? One who serves you with this. So Mother Kunti says, one who does Shavanti, Smaranti Arahani, who hears about you, what happens? Shanvanti Gayanti Gananti Bhikshnasha Smaranti Nandanti Tavehitam Jana Taeva Pashyanti Charena Tavakam Bhava Pravaho Paramam Padambujam. The one who hears about you, who sings your glories, who accepts Gananti Abhikshnashaha, who accepts and how? Abhikshnashaha, uninterruptedly. Smaranti, remembers, Nananti Tavehitam Jana, for such a person. Taeva Pashyanti Chirena, immediately he gets the darshan of your lotus feet. Like that, Mother Kunti says. Coming to the concluding shlokas and discussion for today. And then she offers, so by the way, this 36 was a golden puppet, where Prabhupada writes about why we should hear and also how to hear. This is just a summary study, so it's not very difficult for me to go into details. All of you are practicing devotees, intelligent devotees, so all of you would get it when you read it yourself. So very, very beautiful purport. All right. And then she says, she makes a prayers on behalf of citizens. And she says, oh my Lord, you have executed all duties yourself. Are you leaving us today? Though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect you. Now, when all kings are at enmity with us, so post-war, what about the animosity that has been created? If you leave us, who will protect us, my dear Lord? And here, the principle of Sharanagati is described by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. And then 38, my dear Lord, in your absence, everything is void. As the name and fame of a particular body is finished, text number 38, with the disappearance of the living spirit, if you do not look upon us, all of our fame and activities along with the Pandavas and Yadus will end at once. And that happened, right? When Krishna asked Arjuna to bring the surviving senior cities and also all the queens to Hastinapur, and then his trip was sabotaged. And Arjuna lost in war with two cowherd boys. And Srila Vyasa later on told Arjuna, those two cowherd boys were none other than Krishna and Balram. And when the cowherd boys came to kidnap and to sabotage his journey of Arjuna from Dwarka to Hastinapur, it is described in Mahabharata that Arjuna could not even lift his Gandiva bow. Forget about putting an arrow to the bow. He could not lift the Gandiva bow. And then when he picked up another simple bow, wanted to put an arrow and chant the celestial mantras, he could not remember even a single mantra. And when he was even shooting an arrow, he was missing the aim. That's from Mahabharata. So that is the point Mother Kunti is making here. And then text number 39. She says, O Krishna, our kingdom is now being marked by the impressions of your lotus feet. Therefore, it appears beautiful. But if you leave, it will not be that beautiful anymore. And then she glorifies the power of Krishna's glance in text number 40, where she says, all these cities and villages are flourishing. We have everything in abundance just because of your merciful glance. And then comes text number 41. This is an interesting verse. At this point in time, Mother Kunti is going through a lot of upheaval of emotions. Why? Because she's asking Krishna to stay back at Hastinapur, because now she belongs to Kuru Vamsha. She got married here, isn't it? But before getting married to Kuru Vamsha, she belonged to Yadu Vamsha. And Krishna was going back to Yadus and Dwarka. So which means Dwarka Vasi is also his relatives and Hastinapur Vasi is also his relatives. So Mother Kunti is in complete emotional meltdown right now. If I ask Krishna to stay back for us, which means Kuru Vamsha, then Yadu Vamsha will be upset with me. And if I allow Krishna to go, then Kuru Vamsha would be deprived of Krishna's association. So Mother Kunti says, enough is enough. Krishna, I only belong to you. Therefore, please break all the bonds of my material affection to both the Yadus and the Vrishnis. Na rahega baas, na bajegi baasuri. If I don't identify myself as a related to either of them, I would not waste my time thinking about. I would just focus on you. And that is what she says. Atha Vishvesha Vishvatma Vishnumurti Saku Swakaishume Snehapasham Imam Chindi Dhram Pandushu Vishnu. Please, the strong bond of attachment that I have for Pandushu and Vishnu, please break. But Krishna says, my dear mother, why do you want to break your bonds with the devotees? All these Vrishnis, whoever is remaining Kuru Vamsha are the devotees, and Yadu Vamsha all were devotees already. So why do you want to break your relationship with the devotees? And then Mother Kunti says, Tvai me ananyaya vishaya matir madhupate skrat ratim mudvata dadha gangai vaugham mudhanvati. My dear Lord, I want uninterrupted attraction to you. Just like Mother Ganges flows uninterruptedly towards the ocean, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. This is called as success formula, where a person is only remembering or absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. Can I just tell you one very small example? I'll not go into details of it on this particular aspect. A real life story, Prabhupada disciple. One of the very elderly Mataji in our whole movement at that point of time had taken initiation from Prabhupada. She was like a mother for all. Those were in teenagers or in 20s, and she was almost around 38-year-old at that point of time. His Holiness Niranjan Maharaj talks about her. So then you know that as the movement grew, different temples came, and Niranjan Maharaj was in that temple where this mother was there, and she was like a mother for the whole community. She'll come and cook for all, take care of the brahmacharis like a mother, etc., etc. So that was a relationship. Now His Holiness Niranjan Maharaj had to start traveling to Eastern Europe, etc., and the years passed by. And of course, the movement also had little troubles when devotees had to move out of the temple now. You cannot continue to live in temples, so they had to move out. And when devotees started moving out, they moved to different places, and a lot of connection lost. And that's the time when you didn't have WhatsApp, Facebook, etc. to keep in regular touch. So it was, I believe, Boston Temple where this Mataji used to serve. So Niranjan Maharaj, details could be excluded. Niranjan Maharaj when he came there, he wanted to know the whereabouts of this Mataji. He did a little research. He asked his disciples, and after they found out that she was coming until 2008 or 2009, something like that, or 1999. After that, she stopped coming. She fell sick or something, and her granddaughter was taking care of her. And they found out the place. They found out the contact of the granddaughter. The granddaughter was contacted, and she said, "My grandmother got into insomnia, which means forgetfulness. She forgot about everything, and in her state of delirious, we had to put her into old age home. She's in such old age home." The Niranjan Maharaj, when in his next trip to America, along with his disciple, please pay attention, fantastic pastime, fantastic real life story. Then he went to that old age home where Mataji was there. She does not remember anyone. Now, how can she remember Niranjan Maharaj when she doesn't remember her own granddaughter who was taking care of her? So when His Holiness Niranjan Maharaj went, he tried introducing, reminding her about himself and also about Srila Prabhupada. She didn't remember. Of course, Srila Prabhupada, she nodded something. And then he came and met the doctors. He asked the doctors about her. And doctor said, yes, she does not remember anything. And Niranjan Maharaj was feeling very sorry. My dear Lord, what's going to happen to such a devotee who gave her life for your service? He was thinking like this, where doctor on his own said, but I'd like to tell you something unique about her. So Maharaj said, oh, really? He said, but now the doctor, I have no idea about Hare Krishna. They don't know anything about Krishna consciousness. But he said, she sings one song every day since the time she has come. Only one line she repeats. Niranjan Maharaj was curious. He said, what is that? And the doctor said, she only knows one thing, and that is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is exactly or close to what she said. This is a kind of a little version of Prabhupada's chanting, but because she had lost the memory of the meters and everything, so this is not in meter. This is not in that way, but she would chant. And then the doctor said, because she chants and she does it on her own suddenly. So on Friday afternoon, we have kept a program for her every Friday afternoon from 2:30 to 3:30. She chants for everyone, for all the other patients. And it changes the whole environment here. And she's a superstar of this old age home. Everyone loves her. But unfortunately, she does not remember anything about anyone. So once again, I like to quote this shloka. Tvai me ananya vishaya mati madhupate skrit ratim udvatadadha gangevogam udanvati. My dear Lord, I just want uninterrupted attraction to you. I do not want to get distracted to anyone else. So Krishna always reciprocates. And then his own Ranjan Swami Maharaj have recorded. I have the video. Some of you might have seen it. I'll send it to you of her chanting. Even in that situation when she doesn't have any attention, memory, but she remembers the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And that is a similar prayer Mother Kunti is making here, like this. And then discussion continues. We'll conclude now. So for 43rd is a summary verse which she summarizes, and the Lord Shri Krishna gives a response to Kunti's prayer by smiling, by giving a smile. That's the text number 44, like that. So Kunti had prayed that her mind be concentrated only on the Lord. Krishna accepted that. He then went away from the chariot stable and returned to the Hastinapur. He then took permission to leave from Kunti and the other woman headed by Subhadra. As he was about to go to Dwarka, Yudhishthira prevented him, begging him that he stay a little longer. This indicates that Krishna was completely controlled by the love of the king. Bhakta Vassala, Bhakta Bhakti Bhagwan is the subject matter. We come to the concluding part of this chapter 8, text number 45 to 52, where the Lord interacts with the aggrieved Yudhishthira. In essence, Yudhishthira Maharaj now approaches Krishna and says, my dear Lord, I'm still very much disturbed. Disturbed because of what? The things that I told you in the beginning. You know, the amount of massacre that he saw had created such a deep impression. He said, no, I'm guilty for it. I will not become the king. And he decided not to become the king. And that is what Yudhishthira Maharaj speaks about it. And Lord Shri Krishna tries to talk to Yudhishthira. Vyasadeva talked to Yudhishthira. Everyone spoke to Yudhishthira. But very interesting verse. And with this we'll be concluding. Vyasadaye Ishvare Agnye. Vyasadeva tried talking to Yudhishthira, please accept, become a king, people need you. And you have not done any sinful activity. Krishne adbhuta karmana. And it is said, Sutta Goswami says, Krishne adbhuta karmana. Why is it Krishne adbhuta karmana? Because even Krishna explained to Yudhishthira that you should accept the kingship. You're not at fault. Krishna adbhuta karmana. So if Krishna has to explain to somebody, how can the person not listen? And Yudhishthira Maharaj not to follow Krishna's instruction. That is awkward, isn't it? So Sutta Goswami says, Krishna adbhuta karmana, which means he was saying something, but he meant something else. He did not wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj to get convinced either from him or Vyasadeva for anyone else. Why? And here Krishna established a very important principle. Sharing is caring. Krishna wanted to share the credit. Krishna wanted to give credit to Bhishma. He wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj only to get pacified by Bhishma Dev. He wanted to glorify Bhishma Dev. Therefore, Sutta Goswami mentions Krishna adbhuta karmanaha. And text number 47, 48, 49, all these remaining shlokas only talk about Yudhishthira expressing his grief. My dear Lord, I'm so sinful, I'm this and that. I did like that. He explains about it. So like that, this chapter ends where Krishna says, fine, let's go to Bhishma and let's hear from him. So I'll conclude with a little bit going back to Mahabharata to let you know what's happening here right now. So when Yudhishthira is aggrieved like this, if you read the third or the fourth verse of this chapter, Sutta Goswami addresses him as king. Which means at this point of time, Yudhishthira actually had become a king. Because when Yudhishthira goes to meet Bhishma, which we'll read in the next chapter, Yudhishthira Maharaj was wearing the crown of the king. So now question arises, when he did not accept it to become a king, how did he wore the crown? How did he went like a king? So that's a little background story. With that, we'll pause here. So Krishna said to Yudhishthira, see, we understand we are not able to pacify you, but I'm pretty sure Bhishma Dev would be able to answer your question. So let's go to Bhishma Dev. But before you go to Bhishma Dev, right now, the greatest priority is to go back to the kingdom, because Praja is without father and they are being exploited by the con man. So you need to go back, accept the position temporarily, and establish the rule of the king. And then we'll go and meet Bhishma Dev. So considering this, Yudhishthira Maharaj, as a service to the Praja, to protect the Praja, he agreed. He went back and he ruled hardly for 2-3 days. He was so restless, he wanted to go and meet Bhishma and clarify his doubt, that he ran 4:30 in the morning. Mahabharata says 4:30 in the morning, he ran into the chambers of Krishna, in the palace of Krishna where Krishna was residing. He ran there to meet Krishna, and he was shocked what he saw. Yudhishthira was shocked. Krishna was sitting in a lotus position and with his eyes closed. Krishna is meditating. Krishna is meditating on whom? Yudhishthira became perplexed. But you can't disturb Krishna's meditation. So Yudhishthira sat there. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. Krishna chanted 16 rounds. 2 hours got over. And then when Krishna opened his eyes and looked at Yudhishthira, Yudhishthira with folded hands, with all humility said, my dear Lord, if you think I'm qualified enough to know the reason, can you please answer me? Whom are you meditating on? And now here comes the beauty of this discussion, where Krishna said, my dear Yudhishthira, all of us are enjoying the royal opulences here. We have performed the final rites for everyone, but there is one who is the king of all kings, who is still there at Kurukshetra by himself, waiting for the day of Uttarayan, when the sun will move into the northern direction, or the opposite direction, northern and southern, right? Will move into the northern direction, waiting for that opportunity. No, not waiting for that. Bhishma is that person who I am meditating, because he is constantly meditating on me. When would my Lord come and give me his darshan? Because my devotee is meditating on me, therefore I am meditating on him. And Yudhishthira had tears rolling his eyes. He said, my dear Lord, your compassion is unlimited. And then clearing off his tears, he said, my dear Lord, can I ask you for something? Krishna said, don't ask, I know why you have come. So today morning only we'll go and meet Bhishma. I know you're too much perturbed by your questions. Like that, this chapter ends. And then in chapter 9, we'll see how Krishna directs Yudhishthira Maharaj to get ready with the whole army, with a royal procession. Go and meet Bhishma. Now that's surprising. A dying man. Do you go with all the makeup, with all your jewelry and opulence to meet a dying man? But Krishna asked Yudhishthira, raise a whole army. As a king goes for a procession like this, Yudhishthira, you should go. So Krishna wants to insult Bhishma, wants to criticize Bhishma, just like Duryodhana did towards Pandavas. At the end of the Vanaparv, in the Kamyaka one, he brought the whole procession to tease Yudhishthira. See, you are a beggar, and how I'm enjoying the opulence. So what was the reason for it? We shall see next time when we continue this discussion on chapter 9. To conclude with, these are the 4 sections in this particular chapter: pacifying the Pandavas, saving Parikshit Maharaj in the womb, and the very beautiful section, Kunti Maharaj's prayers, and then Lord's interaction with aggrieved Yudhishthira. With this, we'll enter into chapter 9 next week. Next week, class will be on Friday only. Nothing. And we conclude with the final quote from Srila Prabhupada. Somebody would like to read from the audience? Okay, Sonali, your hand is up. Mother Sonali, I don't know if your hand is up for something, but go ahead and read out. If you can unmute and speak. You're muted.
You can unmute now.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yes.
The concluding quote: when the Lord saw that there was no time for the Pandavas to counteract the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama, he took up his weapon even at the risk of breaking his own vow. Although the battle of Kurukshetra was almost finished, still according to his vow, he should not have taken up his own weapon, but the emergency was more important than the vow. He is better known as the Bhakta Vatsala or the lover of his devotee, and thus he preferred to continue as Bhakta Vatsala than to be a worldly moralist who never breaks his solemn vow.
Therefore, Lord Shri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita asked Arjuna, Arjuna, you declare, Nami Bhakta Pranashyati. Because when it comes to my vows, I am known for breaking my vows. But when it comes to devotees' vows, I never let my devotee vow break. And that's represent Krishna's Bhakta Vatsala quality. And this whole discussion that we are doing is all about Bhakta Vatsala. But because we are actually doing a summary study, so we cannot elaborate and discuss in length about the nature. But when you read Prabhupada purpose, you'll find it. So thank you all for your kind attention. I hope it gives you a little bit understanding of this chapter. Please do go through with the reading of Prabhupada's purpose for this chapter. Fantastic purpose. All right, with that, we pause here. If in case there would be any questions, we can have that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We have a couple of questions. So, Sonali Mataji, you can start with the question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Madan.
Please accept my humble obeisance and thank you for the wonderful lecture, Prabhuji. The question is from previous chapter, the son of Drona punished. In the text 42, there it is written in the last paragraph, a good man or woman accepts anything very easily, but a man of average intelligence does not do so. But anyway, we should not give up our reason and discriminatory power just to be gentle. So here Prabhupada says in this purport that we should have a good reasoning and discriminatory power. But in the very next text, it says that being a gentle, like Draupadi Mataji, it is a pure devotee's sign. So how should
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So the essence of this whole, contradictory things that we see while in the discussion about Draupadi's behavior, as Prabhupada describes, the conclusion is, being a devotee, devotees are but naturally gentle, they're kind-hearted. Yet they should not give the power of reasoning. So in other words, in one way, Krishna did not approve of Draupadi's action. And see what happened. Ashwatthama shot Brahmastra again. Krishna wanted Ashwatthama to be killed. But Draupadi expressed, so be it. And that's nothing wrong in it. She had her good reasoning. So Prabhupada, in one sense, concludes in one of the purport, actually, sentiments, kindness, gentleness, all good. But we should not give up our shastric rationality, which means whatever decision, they should be based on scriptures. And what does scripture dictates? One who is an aggressor should be killed. A person like Ashwatthama was more dangerous than a snake. Why? Because he has already attacked once sleeping Pandavas or the armies of the Pandavas when they were not attacking him. So snake is known for his or her envy. They would attack you even if you don't do anything. That's the nature of snake. So Ashwatthama was more dangerous than snake. And he showed it again. Now what Pandavas did to Ashwatthama, or what Uttara's son had to do with Ashwatthama, but he again shot an arrow. So actually he should have been killed then, but he wasn't. So therefore Prabhupada is drawing a practical lesson for all of us. So we should not take this cue from Draupadi. Oh, Draupadi was so kind and gentle. So if somebody does anything wrong, so we should only be like, koi baat nahi, aapne mere ek gaal pe mare, dusre gaal pe bhi maar lo. So this whole idea of non-violence movement is nonsense. The premise of our whole independence on the non-violence, the whole story is bogus. If that's the case, whenever Lord has appeared, there had been a war. The Lord should have been teaching non-violence, isn't it? Ramayana, Ram fought with Ravana. And Krishna, when Krishna appeared, there's a whole war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. So for Dharma and Adharma, there is always a war, and Dharma has to prevail. We cannot say, oh, okay, we are dharmic people, so we are non-violent, we'll go away, let Adharma do whatever we want. So that's what happened with Ashwatthama. So that's the point here, okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, I have one question from Sunny.
Shikhar Prabhu, unmute yourself. I just allowed everyone to unmute themselves, so in case they have to say something. Yes, Shikhar, unmute.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Mother Sonali, I see you have something to say.
No, Prabhuji, thank you so much for the wonderful answer.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Shikhar Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji. So there's one more question from Sunny.
Shani Prabhu, was Bhishma really waiting for Uttarayan or Bhishma was waiting for Krishna?
Krishna. Anything else?
We have one question from Medhavri Mataji.
Yes.
Mata, you can unmute yourself.
Hey Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you very much for the very wonderful class. At the cost of repeating myself, I can't help but thank you for the wonderful class. I think the relish you experience in speaking, we automatically get it while hearing. Thank you. So Prabhuji, my question is two questions, but I'll ask the one question and then I'll wait for my second turn. My first question is generally like devotees in Bhagavad Gita also Lord Krishna says, like Arjuna was bewildered seeing the universal form, and then he did not even like the four-handed form. He wanted to see the two-handed form. So Parikshit Maharaj, being a pure devotee of the Lord, why did Krishna choose to, while saving in the womb of Uttara, why did he appear in the four-handed form and not in the two-handed form? Because Krishna wants to please his devotees, and Parikshit Maharaj would prefer the two-handed form.
So this is a technical question. Actually, Krishna in his two-handed form, except for enjoying pastimes, he does not do anything. The Vidya Ras and all that is not part of his Krishna Leela. So when you study the 10th canto also, Krishna killing the demons is not done by Vrindavan Krishna. It's done by Mathura Krishna or Vasudev Krishna, like that. This is an intricate thing that you're bringing up here. So when any such thing has to happen, Krishna actually does it through the form of Narayana. All right.
Even the Agasura and all those whirlwind demons, everyone is like Mathura Krishna, the baby Krishna killing demons.
So yes, that is not Krishna, the Vrindavan Krishna. This is the Krishna. I mean, you can call Narayan actually who's killing. Krishna doesn't perform those pastimes.
Thank you.
You know,
Prabhu, if
about
there's time, I'll ask the next question.
maintaining and all that thing, Krishna doesn't do that. For that, Narayan form is there.
Thank you, Prabhu. Right. If
Mata,
there's time, at the end of it, please, Shukra Prabhu, allow me to ask. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhuji. I have another question to take, Mata. So there is
Any
Shrikant,
questions?
yeah, Shrikant Moss, who pinged in the chat. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. How did Uttara know that Brahmastra was sent to kill her son in womb?
No, Uttara did not knew about it. Uttara didn't say Brahmastra. It was Krishna who said it's Brahmastra. Uttara only said that she could see an arrow approaching. Now, how it is beyond us to understand, because when you talk about Brahmastra weapon, in the previous time when Brahmastra was shot at Arjuna, that Brahmastra lighted up all the four directions. And Arjuna felt and experienced he being engulfed by a fire and heat, because it was meant at killing Arjuna. So there Prabhupada explains the Brahmastra is the most advanced technology of this creation, the most advanced weapon. The single weapon when shot can destroy the whole creation. And it can also be shot with such a precision that it can only kill a single person and no one else would be hurt. So when Brahmastra was shot towards Arjuna at that point of time, it means only Arjuna experienced that heat because it was meant to kill Arjuna. And now in the case of Uttara, when Brahmastra has been shot again, it was meant to kill Uttara's womb, not even Uttara. So such a precision of that weapon was that it would have killed the womb and nothing would have happened to Uttara. So therefore, somehow she was able to understand, something is attacking me. And then she approached Krishna. It's not that Krishna saw, Krishna understood this Brahmastra and immediately entered into the womb and protected the son, protected the child from that Brahmastra weapon. All right?
All right, Prabhuji. Thank you. So we are up.
You can have Mother Medavni's question.
Okay.
She has none. If there are no other questions, we'll take
Yes.
that last and conclude.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, my second question is, you said Krishna was meditating upon Bhishma because he knew that Bhishma was meditating on him. So I just wanted to draw a parallel that Guru is not different from Krishna. So does the Diksha Guru or the Siksha Guru also knows that the student or the disciple is meditating on serving the instructions of the Guru?
Diksha Gurus definitely knows.
And Siksha Guru?
No idea about that, because Diksha Guru is said to be Chaitya Guru. So Diksha Guru is said to be a representation of Paramatma. About Shiksha Guru, I don't know of that. I don't remember any reference in such way. So Guru has different functions. So Guru, one who instructs. But Diksha Guru, when you're talking about, for a Diksha Guru particularly, it is said he's a Chaitya Guru. Again, I'll have to look into details. It could be that Shiksha Guru could also be Chaitya Guru. So Either way, Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, for to be able to perceive what disciple is meditating on, that Guru has to be advanced enough to perceive what is going on within him.
Prabhu, not clear.
So, these days, anyone who is taking care of people becomes a Guru, Shiksha Guru.
Correct.
But because somebody gets a designation of Shiksha Guru does not mean advancement also comes according to that. Advancement is an internal function. So yes, it could be Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru can understand what's going on in the heart of a Shishya. But for that to happen, the Guru has to be that advanced. Guru has to have that level of relationship with Paramatma. Because who's going to reveal to him what's happening with the Shishya? It's a Paramatma. So first of all, the Guru should have a transparent relationship with Paramatma. So that's a technical understanding of this. Who can know or not know? That Paramatma knows. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So thank you all. Mother Varsha has a hand up, Shikhar Prabhu. Mother Varsha. So as
Yes.
such, the time is up. Some of you, I know this is office time. Those who wish to go. And Shikhar Prabhu, I know you also have an office time. So if somebody has to sign out or leave, you're more than welcome. I can be here for taking some more questions. All right. Mother Varsha, yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for the wonderful class as usual. Prabhuji, sorry, Gandhari wanted to, curse Krishna, but she lost 100 sons. Draupadi also lost her sons, but she was compassionate towards Ashwastama, where it was very heinous way of killing them. So, Prabhuji, how to understand? Gandhari was also a very
Jaisa sang, Vaisa rang. Association impacts you. So you can say Gandhari got impacted by the association of Duryodhan, Shakuni, etc., etc. Gandhari is a chaste woman.
Yeah.
She is known for chastity. Gandhari and few like Mandudris are also in the same category. So this was only one incident in the life of Gandhari where she lost control on herself. Not the one, the second incident. The first incident was when she got to know that Kunti had given birth to Yudhishthira before her. Again, Gandhari became envious at one time.
Oh.
And she began to beat her womb. And then the lump of metal fell, or the lump of flesh or metal fell from her womb. And then Vyasadev came and divided that into 100 parts. The first surrogacy, right? This is called a surrogacy, correct? In English? So that was the case here. Test tube baby, sorry, the first test tube baby. So that was also the first incident. So that time she became envious, and that's the reason Duryodhan was born with so much envy, particularly towards Pandavas. So that all envy went in the Gandhari's heart towards Duryodhan and towards Pandavas, like that. And again, she made that mistake again later on. See, Gandhari is nowhere said she was a pure devotee of the Lord. Correct? At least I have not read and heard about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this quality of forgiveness, these attributes, good qualities, can only exist in the devotees of the Lord, not otherwise.
Thank you so much.
She was a highly cultured and chaste lady, committed to Vedic values, that she decided to blindfold herself so that there is never ever a sense of superiority to her husband. Because that's a Vedic culture and values. So she kept herself blindfolded all her life. Definitely that's a great commitment. But at the end of the day, if somebody is not a devotee of the Lord, then everything is waste. And that's an example of Gandhari, being such an austere woman, yet because she was not a devotee of the Lord, she lost it. And she ended up cursing Krishna. What else can we support? Somebody does that. All right, Mother, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dandot Pranam.
Okay, Mother Prachi, go ahead. Okay, Shikhar, you're still there, na? You can manage that.
Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Thank you
Mother.
for the class, Prabhuji. So I have one question which may sound a little weird, but you shared the story of that Mataji, na, Prabhuji, who had, she had lost her memory and she still remembered. But maybe because Prabhuji, her whatever chanting and seva that she did was very pure, her chanting and whatever service she, rendered. But for me, at least I will talk about myself. I don't think my chanting is that pure that, if God forbid something happens like that, we'll be able to.
I can understand where you're headed to. That is not the requirement for bhakti. It's not that she was chanting purely, therefore Krishna reciprocated. Why Krishna reciprocated? Because she did not offend devotees. That is the requirement. Nowhere it is expected from us to chant purely. That's just not possible. If we are able to chant purely, that's the mercy of the Lord. And if somebody who does not offend Vaishnavas, they would come to the stage, of course, considering you're following the basic premises of 4 regulated principles, etc., etc. So for that mother, getting that mercy means she never offended devotees. That's why she got the mercy of the Lord like that. You know, I'm drawing one conclusion. So either it is you or anyone else, we all have to take care of course, follow our principles, chant the holy names of the Lord. As we were talking today morning at 4:30, I was making the same point. How do we say that we want to serve Krishna, or we want to render service as a pleasure to Krishna? Let's say for chanting, that we strive to chant regardless of what our state of mind. How much is, oh, I'm tired, this and that. No, I'll chant. And when I chant, not 24 hours, any time of the day, I chant in the morning. I arrange my life in such a way that I chant in the morning hours. Then it means we are chanting for the pleasure of Krishna, because that's what the Guru's instruction is, chant in the morning. When you follow Guru's instruction, then it means for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga, isn't it? So that is what we should aim at. And then to deal with the struggle of the mind, even if we are chanting inattentively or sometimes we are feeling drowsy, etc., of course, we should try to be in a stable situation. That is more pleasing to the Lord than to say somebody that, no, 9 o'clock in the night, there's a complete pin drop silence in my house, then I'm going to sit and chant. You can't chant attentively in the morning. What will you chant in the night? That's not possible. So our efforts counts, and Krishna takes a look at it. There's no Shastra reference where Krishna says, unless you are pure, you will not get my mercy. Of course, the pure is there, Ye Shanta Gantata Papa, 7th chapter, 28 verse. But devotee has already given us sinful life now. So we are already attempting to live a pure life, if you say that way. So it's about Vaishnava Prats. Make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. We have next Indu Radhika Devi Dasi Mataji. Mata, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I just wanted to know, Prabhu, what happened to Ashwathama after that?
अश्वत्थामा की गोपनीय कहानी क्यों ना इसको अगले सत्र में रखा जाए जारी.
Okay.
So it is mentioned because Mother was, I just briefly say, Mahabharata says after this incident, Lord Shri Krishna cursed Ashwathama for this heinous act of attempting to kill a child in the womb. Now he had crossed the boundaries. See, in the first incident, when he had killed the 5 sons of Pandu, he became even more sinful than Duryodhan, because even Duryodhan regretted, how can he do such a sinful thing? And now when he performed this act of killing the child in the womb, he had even crossed Kamsa's sinful activity, because even Kamsa never killed a child in the womb. Yes or no? So there Krishna caught hold of him. He said, you rascal, if I kill you, you get liberated from all your sinful activities. Therefore, I will not kill you. If my devotees kill you, again you'll get liberated and no one else can kill you. So what is the solution? You will not die. I bless you to live for, I don't know exactly the different versions about it, at the end of the Kali Yuga or certain duration Kali Yuga, etc., etc. Some say up to the dawn of Kalki Avatar, whatever it is, a long time. But your whole body would be sickly. You'll feel hunger, you'll feel thirst, but you will not have anything to eat, or you'll not have anything to drink. Like this, you'll suffer. You will have what do you call it, as pimples, like that, whole body would be diseased. So I curse you with that. So that's the situation of Ashwathama. All right. So, all right, I guess, Shikha Prabhu, we have taken questions of everyone.
So that means Ashwathama is still here?
Oh, yes, Mother.
Oh my God.
Many people have seen him. Of course, I have not seen him, but there are a lot of incidents where people have seen him. If I remember correctly, okay, I don't want to quote that incident, fine. But yes, he's said to be wandering between Gujarat and Vrindavan forest area. So in all those isolated forests of Gujarat and at Vrindavan forest, there are many instances of sighting of a man very tall, very huge body man like that. The incidents of sightings like that. All right, of course, this is also Suni Sunai Khabre, but because the Shastra says, so we believe it, yes, that there must be a case like that. All right. Hare Krishna. So don't worry, mother.
Thank you so much.
He's been taken care. All right. Hare Krishna. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a wonderful class. And thank you to all audience for joining us in this Friday morning. And today we have completed chapter 7. So hope you can attempt a quiz on the website now. It's an uploaded. No reading targets for today, but please don't fail to mark your attendance. It will be counted as in class. And from tomorrow, we'll start with the chapter 8. Till then, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you to the whole team.